All right, let's take a look at this sentence. Now, this sentence is the author giving his opinion about the colonialist approach. And here's what he says. They being the colonialists, pose the clash of national cultures as an absolute polarity, with each culture understood as static and undifferentiated. Wow, let's see if we can try to make some sense out of this one. The class of national cultures, what cultures are they talking about first? That's the mainland American culture and the Puerto Rican culture. And when you say that they're posed as an absolute polarity, think about you have like the North Pole of the Earth and the South Pole of the Earth. They're on opposite sides, right? And so an absolute polarity means that these are two totally opposite sides, as in the American side and the Puerto Rican side are totally different. They're totally separate. Now, not only do the colonialists say that these two sides are totally separate, they're also saying each culture, and when we say each culture, what culture are we talking about? We're still talking about American culture and Puerto Rican culture. And they're saying that each culture is static and undifferentiated. Let's take a look at those words. When we say that a culture is static, we mean that culture is not changing. Static means it doesn't change, as opposed to dynamic, which means that something is changing. So if we say that the cultures are static, we mean that over time, American culture stays the same and Puerto Rican culture stays the same. Neither of them change. Clearly, that's not really true. Obviously, American culture changes all the time, and presumably Puerto Rican culture changes all the time as well. And they also say that the cultures are seen as undifferentiated. Now, let's understand what differentiated means. A culture that's differentiated has different parts. You have the rich, you have the poor, you have the people that speak one language, another language. You have the middle class, you have skilled workers, you have blue-collar workers, white-collar workers. You have all these different parts of a culture, right? You have the far left people, you have the far right people. These are all different parts of a culture. So American culture is clearly differentiated. It's not undifferentiated. And also, of course, Puerto Rican culture has its own little, many different subcultures within Puerto Rican culture. So when the colonialists act as if the Puerto Rican and American cultures are undifferentiated, that means they're saying there's just one American culture and it's this way and it never changes because it's static. And there's just one Puerto Rican culture which doesn't change and that's also static. And it doesn't have multiple parts, right? That's what the colonialists are saying. They're saying that there's just one big culture, not a culture that has many different parts, which in reality, of course, culture has many different parts. And so that's the criticism that the author's making. He's saying that this viewpoint that the colonialists have is silly. America and Puerto Rico aren't totally diametric opposites in every way. The cultures are not static because they change all the time, and it's silly to say that the cultures are undifferentiated, which means they're just one big block culture. All the cultures have many, many different parts, many different types of people within those cultures, many different subcultures, and all that kind of stuff.